When I scratched off that final number and saw $100,000, my entire body froze. My pulse hammered in my ears, and I had to check the ticket at least 5 times before I believed it. My hands were shaking so bad that I almost dropped it. "Amanda!" I shouted. She rushed in from the kitchen, her long brown hair still damp from the shower, wearing one of my old college sweatshirts. "What? What happened?" "We won." I held up the ticket, barely able to form the words. $100,000. For a second, she just stared. Then her eyes widened, her lips parted, and she let out a shriek of excitement before practically launching herself into my arms. "Oh my God, Ethan. Are you serious?" I was. But looking back, I should have paid closer attention to the way her face changed, the way her excitement had a hungry edge to it, the way her mind immediately started racing to all the things we could do with the money. It was my ticket, my win. But from the very beginning, Amanda made sure it was a shared victory. "I can't believe it," she kept saying, already scrolling through resort websites on her phone. "This is exactly what we needed. We should go somewhere. Somewhere warm. Somewhere expensive." I wasn't thinking about vacations. I was thinking about bills, our mortgage, maybe putting some of it away for the future. But Amanda had already decided. I could see it in her eyes. At first, I didn't question anything. Amanda had always wanted to travel, and we had never been able to afford more than a long weekend at a budget hotel near the lake. So, when she started looking up tropical resorts, I went along with it. We booked 2 weeks in the Bahamas, an all-inclusive resort, oceanfront suite, the kind of place we had only ever dreamed about. Amanda was giddy, texting her friends, shopping for new swimsuits, making lists of everything we'd do when we got there. It made me happy to see her happy. But then things started to feel off. She became obsessed with the trip. Every conversation we had somehow circled back to the resort, the drinks, the beach, the people. "You should start working out," she said one night while scrolling through Instagram, looking at vacation photos of influencers. I frowned. "What?" "I mean, we'll be at the beach the whole time. Wouldn't you feel better if you were in shape?" I wasn't overweight, but I wasn't built like a model either. Amanda, on the other hand, had been hitting the gym more than usual. Then came the new lingerie, the wax appointments, the sudden interest in tanning. "I just want to feel confident," she said when I asked about it. I wanted to believe her, but a small voice in the back of my head was whispering something else. This wasn't for me. 3 days before we were set to leave, my mother called me in the middle of the night. "It's your dad," she said, her voice trembling. "He had a stroke." Everything after that was a blur. Booking a last-minute flight to Wisconsin, sitting in the hospital for hours, watching my father lie unconscious in a bed, his face slack, his breathing uneven. When I called Amanda to tell her, she didn't react the way I expected. "Oh my God," she said. But there was no urgency in her voice, no real concern. "When are you coming back?" I hesitated. "I don't know. It depends on how bad it is." A long silence. "So, what do we do about the trip?" I clenched my jaw. "We cancel it." Her sigh was barely audible, but I heard it. "Ethan, listen, I get it. This is awful. But if you need to be there for your dad, I understand. I don't want to just sit around waiting, you know?" It took me a moment to understand what she was saying. "You still want to go?" She hesitated. "I mean, what's the point of both of us missing out?" The words made my stomach turn, but I was too exhausted to argue. "Fine," I said. "Go." She didn't fight me on it. Not once. My father pulled through. 2 days after the stroke, he was awake, groggy, but stable. The doctors said he needed rest, but the danger had passed. That's when I booked my flight to the Bahamas. I didn't tell Amanda. She hadn't been checking in as much as I expected. The first day, she sent a couple of texts, something about the weather, how beautiful the ocean was. Then, silence. When I called, she didn't answer. When I texted, she sent one-word replies. Something wasn't right. I had to see for myself. I landed late at night and went straight to the resort. The moment I stepped into the lobby, I knew. Amanda wasn't in our room. The woman at the front desk recognized me immediately. "Oh, Mr. Carter. Your wife checked in a few days ago." She paused, glancing at the computer screen. She upgraded to the honeymoon suite? My stomach dropped. Excuse me? The receptionist shifted uncomfortably. She requested an upgrade. A larger suite. I swallowed the lump in my throat. And is she there now? She hesitated. I can have someone escort you. But I was already walking away. By the time I reached the suite, my hands were shaking. My pulse was pounding so hard in my ears that I barely heard the moans coming from inside. I didn't knock. I shoved the door open. And there she was. Amanda, my wife. Naked. Straddling some guy. They both froze. I didn't say a word. I just watched as Amanda's face turned white, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. Ethan, she finally breathed. I can explain. I laughed. Actually laughed. Explain? My voice was eerily calm. Please. I'd love to hear this. The guy, tall, tan, younger, scrambled off the bed, grabbing his clothes. Dude, I didn't know she was married, I swear. I ignored him. Amanda was still staring at me, horror in her eyes. And I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not anger. Just a cold, calculated clarity. Because now it was my turn to ruin her.